Hi, Aerosmith. We're here again with another of the 4-H's, and you can see I'm actually here with Taryn. And I'm kind of excited about this. I get to do a teenager, so it's a little different and a little more fun, I think. So I'm looking forward to this. Taryn, you're going to fill us, Irish name. Mm-hmm. That's an awesome name. I love it. And you're going to fill us in on the 4-H's. So the first one of our 4-H's is history. So I'm assuming it's not going to be as long, perhaps, as some because no. It's a shorter history. But give us a little bit of your history and what brings you up to today, your life.
All right. I was born on the Sunshine Coast, Seashelt. It's very small, so next to Gibson's. And I moved when I was 7 years old. My parents were called to start a church plant here in Port Alberni. And
who are your parents?
Colleen and Andrew McIver. They're the worship leaders.
Just in case people don't know.
And they were called to start a church plant, but they realized that they weren't meant to lead the church. They were meant to just serve in the church. Yeah. And so after a few years of just doing house church and sitting around our living room, they were really tired, and so they wanted to just go to a church. And when we first came to Port Alberni, we tried a bunch of different churches before we set ourselves up, and we tried Aerosmith, and it was our favorite out of all churches. So they decided to go to Aerosmith, and it was wonderful. Yeah. And so we started going, and then we just kept getting pulled in, and my parents are a big part of church now.
Yeah.
And
so are you.
That's yes. I love serving in the church. So yeah, so that's where we are now pretty much.
Good. Well, I'm certainly glad you guys made it here.
Yeah.
Not too much before I got here, but I think about a year before I got here.
Yeah, we've been here 2.5 years, I think.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So that's the first H, history, and we'll move somewhere else and we'll do the second one.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Taryn, the second H, heroes. So who are the heroes or the people who you get inspiration or look up to in life?
I would say my parents, my mom and dad, and my grandma. And those are pretty much.
And your grandma is?
My grandma is Diane Berard.
Yes.
And she has she's had an amazing life and testimony. And my parents, they just live their faith, and it's very inspiring. And it just, and the way they serve, just without questioning, they just serve.
Yeah. And
that's just, that's how I pick up on it. That's why I love doing it, is because of how they've taught me how to serve.
Yeah.
And other heroes. It's pretty much it. Musical heroes. I mean, my favorite band, I think, would be 21 Pilots.
Okay.
And Tyler Joseph is a Christian, and his songs are beautiful. And they have hidden meanings in them. They're deep. They're so deep. And yeah, he's an amazing writer and artist.
I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah.
Check that out. That's good. It's awesome to have family members as heroes. And to just think that someone just living their faith becomes a hero, and it's true. Yeah. And we can all become heroes just by simply living our faith.
Yeah.
And that's good. So you're going to become a hero too by doing that. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Taryn, this is the tougher one, the more intimate one. You're not as old, and I don't imagine you have as many deep hurts, but what you're willing to share some of the hurts from your life?
Well, most of the hurts have been experienced by people around me. Like my grandma lost her mother, my great-grandma, when I was 6. And it didn't really affect me. I didn't really get to know her much. It affected my mom and all of her aunts and uncles, but they're still grieving. I mean, not as much, but they still miss her, and so I see that around me.
Yeah.
And another thing was my mom had a miscarriage when I was 3 or 4, and you're 3 or 4, you're getting excited for your new baby brother or sister, and I just remember my mom calling me into the room, and she was sobbing, and my dad was, and they were just like, we lost the baby, and I was confused, of course, and she was on bed rest. I mean, I knew something was wrong, vaguely, I feel, but yeah, and so.
How old were you then?
I want to say 3 or 4, because it wasn't before we moved. And so, yeah, it was just, his name was Eric, which is a big part of my mom's testimony. So
Yeah.
I'm sure when you hear from her, she'll tell you more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't had much hurts. The other hurt would have been the most recent one, which was losing my dog.
Yeah.
And he was the perfect dog. Really, he was a gentle giant. He was huge, but he never barked, never growled, and never hurt anyone. And I just remember my grandma took us all out of the house because he couldn't get up. So a lady had to come and put him down. I remember when we were getting out of the house, my 3 younger siblings asked, "What does putting down mean?"
Yeah.
And that was really hard telling them because all us older kids really struggled. And
How long ago was that?
last year, just before COVID hit,
Okay. Yeah.
and it was a week before my sister's birthday. My parents were gonna stay at a hotel. We were going to a church out of town, and they were gonna stay out of town. My mom was the only one who could get him up, and so he was already dying.
Yeah.
So
Well, I can identify with that because I was telling you just over a year ago,
Yeah.
our dog, pet with ours for 14 years, he's like one of our kids,
yeah,
passed away, and I cried more at that than I would have imagined I would have, and it was really emotional.
It was
We
really
took
hard.
him to the vet and we sat there with him while they, injected him and everything, and it was, you just
Yeah.
think of how faithful a
yeah.
companion
When we
dogs
first
are.
got Jackson, our dog, we watched Marley and Me, and we couldn't imagine him dying.
Yeah.
And so we haven't watched Marley and Me yet.
No.
He was a lab too.
Yeah, so that would really strike home. Yeah, good. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, Taryn, last one. We end on a hopeful note. So last one is hope. So what are your hopes looking forward beyond today, beyond pandemic, beyond everything? What are you really hoping in?
Well, beyond pandemic, to get church back again, because the feeling of congregation and fellowship is
Yeah.
so important, and I really miss it. And my hope would be to grow closer to God, have a better relationship with Him, and just to know Him better.
Yeah.
And that's all I can think of off the top of my head, to see my siblings grow.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, those are good hopes, and you've got so much of that ahead of you. There's going to be, I can see pretty plainly that there's going to be lots of growth in your life and in the lives of your siblings in all kinds of ways, and not the least of which is with your relationship with God. So keep hoping in that, and He will deliver.
Yeah.
Good. It's been a great time talking with you, getting to know you a little bit more, and
Yeah.
hanging out at the park here. So one question I'm going to throw out to everybody there is, what was it, race car?
Race car.
So what is race car spelt backwards? So you can all ponder that at home. It's on one of the signs here, so think about that, and you can text me the message or email it to me when you figure it out. All right, so thanks again for joining us. Have a great week.